But there was apparently a situation between you and Birdman over that whole Cash Money Wendy Day situation.
One of my artist friends bumped into Birdman and put a gun to his head and made him call and apologize to me, which he did.
And I went and got the guy and snatched him up and brought him over there and asked him what the he want.
I went there and when I walked in, he was in the booth with no shirt on and a Sinbad sword.
Nah, we talking about Freddie Foxxx?
Yeah, he was with a big sword with no shirt on in the booth when I first got there.
There is no doubt hip-hop's got plenty of legendary MCs, but very few carried the kind of real-life menace James Campbell did. He had two sides to him: Freddie Foxxx, the razor-sharp lyricist, and Bumpy Knuckles, the enforcer, and together, they made him unstoppable.
Now, Freddie Foxxx is a G, did time, Gangsta.
No, he's a real one.
A real one.
Yeah.
From allegedly putting a gun to Birdman's head, to shoving one in Benzino's mouth, to calling out the whole industry, nobody was off limits. Let's get into it. Freddie Foxxx started his journey on Long Island, New York, long before anybody in hip-hop circles knew his name. He first got pulled into the culture back in junior high, when writing rhymes became the thing that clicked for him. Long Island at the time wasn't the wildest place in the world, but it wasn't soft either. Foxx was a smart kid, focused on school, but he still found himself getting into the usual mischief young boys drift into. What really pushed him toward becoming the MC he later became wasn't just the environment. It was his love for words themselves. English was his favorite subject. He loved the feel of language, the structure of sentences, the way words could create entire pictures if you arranged them right. As a kid, he would even read books backwards just to test his brain, to see if things still made sense. That's how early he was training himself. His whole philosophy became simple. If he could make the words paint a picture, people would understand him. That idea ended up shaping everything he would do in hip-hop. In the mid-'80s, the culture was still forming its identity. Nothing was fully solid yet. Styles were being invented, crews were figuring out sounds, and everyone was trying to position themselves. But even in this early stage, fate had a habit of choosing sides in ways nobody could predict. For Freddie Foxxx, one small decision ended up changing hip-hop history forever. Around 1986, Eric B. was hunting for the best MC in Long Island. Word kept coming back to him: you need to check out Freddie Foxxx. Foxx had a tape out that was circulating, and people were impressed Eric B. heard it, liked what he heard, and wanted to meet him. He had business in mind and a vision for a powerful partnership. For Foxx, this was supposed to be the moment, but the meeting never happened.
Eric was like, yo, take me to, you know, the MCs out here that's dope. I want to meet the dope ones, the ones that's nice, because I got a project I'm working on.
And the reason why is classic Foxx: loyalty before opportunity. Eric B. wanted him and only him. Foxx wasn't feeling that. He didn't want to move without bringing the crew he grew up with, the same guys who helped him get started, the same crew he and his brother were part of. Foxx wasn't willing to leave them behind just to chase a deal.
Yeah, he's like, well, who's we? I was like, me and, you know, the other two cats that I rock with. Eric was like, well, I just need one of y'all. So I didn't cancel the meeting, but I didn't show up. I didn't want to bounce on my guys like that. So I kind of just didn't show up. You know what I mean? And then I think he met Rakim after that.
So he didn't show up. Because of that one decision, Eric B. turned to the next name he was told to look into, a young MC named Rakim. And that's how one of the greatest duos in hip-hop history, Eric B. and Rakim, was born. All because Freddie Foxxx stayed home. From there, the tension between Foxx and Rakim simmered for decades. It didn't start in the industry either. They already had history from Long Island, coming up in different groups that were basically rivals. So when Rakim later mentioned Foxx in an interview, allegedly saying Foxx was not ferocious, that comment hit a nerve. To Foxx, it was disrespect, and it played into a stereotype he always hated, that Long Island rappers were soft. He pushed back hard against that idea. He always pointed out that just because somebody had a front yard didn't mean they weren't dealing with the same street elements as anybody else in the city. Foxx had his own opinion on Rakim's legacy too. He never felt Rakim was automatically above heavyweights like Big Daddy Kane, LL Cool J, or KRS-One. To him, it wasn't about mythical status. It was about what you could do on stage, on records, and in real life. Foxx believed in rawness, honesty, and street reality. He didn't put anybody on a pedestal, especially not someone from down the block. So when he said, "I would eat Rakim's alive on any record, any stage," it wasn't just wild talk. It was the core of who Freddie Foxxx was. As Freddie Foxxx moved deeper into the early 1990s, the way people talked about him started to shift. At first, the conversation around him was about bars, delivery, and lyrical skill. But as time went on, something else became just as important: his reputation in the streets. Foxx never pretended to be a drug dealer. In fact, he made it very clear that he never sold drugs. But what he did become known for was something just as serious. He knew how to handle situations, how to stand his ground, and how to collect whatever someone owed him, and that, in the eyes of many, made him just as real as anyone who hustled. On stage, Foxx treated hip-hop like a full-contact sport. He believed you had to show up with power, with presence, and with respect for the craft. His energy was loud, intense, and sometimes intimidating. This same energy carried over into the music he recorded, especially on his unreleased 1994 album, Crazy Like a Fox. Even though the album never officially dropped during its original era, it's packed with some of his most brutal, raw, and graphic content. The lyrics touched on hustling, violence, fights, jail time, all painted with the kind of detail that showed he knew exactly what he was talking about. A big part of the album was even dedicated to inmates. Foxx wasn't trying to impress the radio. He wanted to speak to the people who felt forgotten, the ones who lived with real consequences. He also used the album to take shots at what he saw as the fake side of the music industry: the commercial fluff, the safe sound, the artists who talked loud but didn't live anything close to what they were rapping about. His verses were filled with warnings, threats, and honest frustration. He told people straight up, "I'll rip you apart, I'll put knots on you," and everything else they didn't want to hear. This buildup of reputation eventually led to one of the wildest and most famous incidents in his career: the situation with Benzino. At the time, both Foxx and Benzino were connected to Queen Latifah's flavor unit. That alone made people expect unity, but hip-hop rarely works that neatly. The tension between the two came to a head during a road trip. According to Benzino's own recollection, he walked into a studio where Foxx was already working and noticed him standing there shirtless, holding what he described as a Sinbad sword. Right away, the energy was strange. The real explosion happened inside a van, one of those travel vans artists used while touring. What started as an argument quickly turned into something much more serious. Benzino admitted he was the one who pulled a gun first. He described it as a nasty little revolver, meaning he was ready for things to get ugly.
We in the van and somehow something happens. And I'm strapped up. I got a little nasty little revolver on me. You know what I'm saying? So Freddie Foxxx, I'm a little guy. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Fox is big as you know what I'm saying?
But pulling a gun on Freddie Foxxx wasn't exactly a winning strategy. Foxx reacted instantly. According to Benzino, Foxx put his gun straight into Benzino's mouth. At that point, Benzino said he had no choice. He had to get out of the van. And yet, in the strange way the street works, that ugly moment turned into mutual respect. Nobody died, nobody snitched, and nobody held a long grudge. Instead, it led directly into one of the craziest studio sessions of their careers. Right after the confrontation, Foxx, Benzino, and Tupac Shakur ended up at Quad Studios to record the track Killa. Benzino remembered Tupac walking into the studio. This was still the early pack, the Digital Underground pack, and delivering a verse that completely tore through the beat. The song even had a wild skit with gunshots and drive-by sounds, matching the energy they had all just lived through. By then, Foxx's reputation was official. By the time Freddie Foxxx entered the mid to late 1990s, everybody already knew he had the street credibility to back up his bars. The Benzino situation alone proved that he wasn't just rapping tough, but while those kinds of moments made him respected in some circles, they also became the seeds of something far more damaging. What hurt his career the most wasn't fights with rappers or tension with crews. It was what happened when he brought that same fearless, aggressive energy into the world of executives, the people who held contracts, controlled the radio, and basically ran the business. Foxx understood quickly that hip-hop wasn't just beats and rhymes. It was politics, money, power games, and he believed much of the industry was, in his own words, a swamp of greed and shame. It bothered him deeply. He wanted to protect the culture he grew up loving, and once he decided he was going to stand as a kind of gatekeeper, someone who called out dishonesty, shady deals, fake behavior, and disrespect, the people in power decided they didn't need someone like him around. That decision sealed his fate. The first major blow, the one he said damaged his career the most, involved Steve Stoute, one of the biggest power players of the era. Stoute wasn't just an executive. He co-founded Violator, helped guide Nas, and orchestrated deals that helped shape hip-hop's rise into the mainstream. But to Foxx, Stout represented something else. The type of industry guy who smiled in your face, but didn't respect the real ones behind the scenes. Foxx would lay out the whole story in one of his tracks. The confrontation happened in a pizza shop. Foxx had been hearing things he didn't like. He felt Stout had been talking down on him, blocking him, and hating real players, as he put it. When Foxx walked into that pizza shop, he walked in ready to handle it, and things escalated instantly. According to Foxx's own account, he rushed Stout. The fight became physical right away. Foxx hit him hard in the mouth, dropping him to the floor. Stout was left crying, holding a busted lip. Foxx said he stomped him out and screamed, "F Steve Stout," in the middle of the shop. He even mocked the idea that Stout's wealth could protect him from a beating, saying, "You've got all that money, but you still can't buy a heart." Foxx later called this a turning point in his life, a moment he paid dearly for. He knew right away that hitting someone like Steve Stout wasn't the same as hitting another rapper. Rappers might fight and move on. Executives don't forget. From that moment forward, Foxx wasn't seen as an artist anymore. He was seen as a threat, a problem, someone who could not be controlled, and because of that, he was blackballed. Even though the streets respected him, the corporations saw him as someone who could ruin business. His music during this period only made the situation worse in the eyes of executives. He was writing lyrics that openly attacked label suits, shady contracts, and artists who sold themselves short. He rhymed about labels turning hip-hop into personal bacon, their own plate of profit, while artists danced for crumbs. He mocked rappers who signed blowjob deals, calling out how soft they were underneath all their bragging. His bars became sharper, more graphic, more direct. He rapped about breaking limbs, dragging bodies, and using violence as a metaphor for exposing weak artists and greedy executives. But the second major strike, the one that spread his reputation even further, was the Birdman situation. The story begins with Wendy Day, the founder of the Rap Coalition. Wendy was known for helping independent artists and labels secure fair deals. She had helped Cash Money land their massive $30 million deal with Universal. But after the ink dried, Birdman refused to pay her what she was owed. Wendy said he basically told her, "Sue me," knowing she didn't have the money to fight him in court. So Foxx stepped in. He confronted Birdman right outside the Hot 97 radio station. According to Wendy Day's account, Foxx allegedly put a gun to Birdman's head. Birdman was forced down onto his knees on the street and had to call Wendy right there and apologize. Wendy remembered Birdman saying, "Your friend just pulled me out of Hot 97. I'm on my knees in the street, and I want to apologize to you."
One of my artist friends bumped into Birdman and put a gun to his head and made him call and apologize to me, which he did. Birdman called me up and said, "Oh, your friend just pulled me out of Hot 97, and I'm here on the street, on my knees, and I want to apologize to you."
Now, Foxx later denied using a gun. He said they talked like gentlemen, but the message was loud and clear. This cemented his reputation in the industry. Either way, the result was the same. The industry froze him out. Radio didn't want to touch him, and labels dismissed him. By the time Freddie Foxxx fully stepped into the 2000s, he had made peace with the fact that the industry would never give him a fair shot. Instead of fighting to be accepted, he doubled down on who he truly was. That's when the persona of Bumpy Knuckles became more than just a nickname. The idea behind the name was simple. Freddie Foxxx was the MC, the lyricist, the artist. Bumpy Knuckles was the enforcer, the raw spirit of the streets, the side of him that didn't care about politics or consequences. In theory, the two identities were separate, giving Foxx a way to keep the rapper and the warrior in different lanes. But in reality, they fused into one powerful voice that shaped the rest of his career. The biggest moment in this transformation came in the year 2000 with the release of Industry Shakedown. This wasn't just an album, it was a declaration of war. It was Foxx's final response to the blackballing, the shady executives, the backroom deals, and the years of being pushed aside because he refused to play nice. From the opening track to the final bar, the album was a full-blown assault on the music industry's dirty practices and the fake characters who benefited from them.
A few years later, you drop Industry Shakedown. And it's like, at that point, I feel like Freddie Foxxx has had enough. Basically like a everybody album.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
pretty much.
Foxx said he wanted his music to be a recipe of words that'll feed craniums, something young artists could actually learn from. He wanted them to understand the dangers he had faced so they wouldn't walk blindly into contracts and situations designed to drain them dry. He knew the industry was built to keep most artists poor, even the talented ones, and he took it upon himself to expose that truth.
Don't let that person make you sign a contract that says in perpetuity or exclusive. Read it. Make sure you know what you signing. Some dudes be so happy to get a deal, they'll sign anything, you know, and we shouldn't allow them to make those mistakes, but we can't force the information on them. They're going to do what they want to do. So I'm just thinking that to bridge the gap, it has to be a trade-off.
One of the biggest pieces of advice he pushed was for young artists to demand what he called a pension tool in their record deals. He wanted them to think long-term, to build security, and to protect themselves from the grind that chewed up so many people before they reached even a fraction of their potential. Foxx also stressed that real success wasn't about looking rich or selling the most records. It was about financial independence, owning your work, owning your masters, and controlling your money. He bragged not about sales numbers, but about the fact that he could sell less and still make more because All My Diamonds is real. He encouraged young rappers to stay true to themselves, telling them to spit your shit and keep it real, instead of falling into the trap of faking the gun clapper persona that the industry often pushed on black artists for marketability. He warned them that once you let the machine shape your image, it would also own your life. Industry Shakedown and the releases that followed were filled with bars that kept his street credibility intact while teaching listeners how to survive in a crooked business. His lyrics were full of dark and aggressive imagery. He rapped about keeping his gun and his mic close because those were the only things I like. He joked, but not really joked, about being ready to wave a hammer to collect what someone owed him. He talked about violence the same way other rappers talked about jewelry, casually, confidently, and as part of his daily reality. Stories about Foxx's presence continued to spread beyond the music. One of the most talked about examples involved Kool Keith from the Ultramagnetic MCs. After Foxx felt Keith had disrespected him in some comments, the tension rose fast. When the two ended up on the same airplane, Keith reportedly became nervous, knowing Foxx's reputation for handling problems physically. According to the story, Keith immediately apologized and claimed that the original diss was an accident. But behind all the fights, threats, and heavy-handed lyrics, Foxx saw himself as something much bigger. An OG, a teacher, a protector of the culture. He said one of the greatest rewards he could receive was hearing someone tell him, "I learned a lot from you." As Foxx grew older, his philosophy sharpened. He realized that he had chosen a path that would never lead to mainstream fame. He knew that refusing to bend or compromise meant he would never be celebrated in the same way as industry-friendly artists. But he accepted that. To him, staying real was more important than chart positions or award shows. He rapped proudly about living the grime and the raw dog lifestyle long after most artists his age had softened or switched lanes. His claim, "I never lose, I never lost, 'cause I'm the boss," was a reflection of how he saw himself, undefeated in spirit, undefeated in truth, undefeated in self-respect. By the time the dust settled, Freddie Foxxx had become something rare in hip-hop, a man who lived everything he rapped, who stood by his code no matter the cost, and who became immortal not through radio play, but through reputation.